see Freddie.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Okay, what's up, everyone? It is Friday night. It's summertime. It's warm. It's nice out. And what better way for the All Sports All Plays Network to kick off their newest evening show here on the network, co-hosted by not only myself, but we have the sensei herself on here with me. And what makes this first episode even more special is that we're going to do a little bit of a throwback crew here because
oh geez,
you've got the sensei, aka the bus driver, and it's even better that our boss Freddie is on the show tonight because in the inaugural episode, the sensei gets to take him to school from day one on this show as well, and it's gonna be great. But enough about me making introductions for everybody. Sensei, how are you? How are you tonight? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm happy to be on the show. I'm happy that we are starting and kicking off the show, and I'm happy to have my lovely student here that I get to take to school. It's been so long. Gosh, I've missed our school rides. Wow. And I'm so happy that you're back. That I finally get to drop you off. I get to, tell you my goodbyes before you go home to school. So it's great. I'm feeling good. I'm in a good mood. How about you? Freddie? How are you?
It's funny. It must make you guys feel good. It must have been that long since I've educated you two on anything dealing with sports. But a good thing I get the chance to educate you today to let everybody know who's the real bus driver and the one and only me. But I'm glad to be on the show.
Hey, that's great, Freddie. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to have both of y'all here. I'm excited that we're going to kick this off tonight. So we got to address the big thing that happened recently with the NBA Finals. So surprisingly enough, Boston, who was actually favored coming into this game, was able to walk out of the Chase Center last night with the dub against the Golden State Warriors. Sensei, I'm going to start with you, ma'am. What is your reaction to last night's game, that the fact that the Celtics were able to take game one in this series? And do you think that they continue on this roll, or do you think Golden State bounces back with a vengeance?
I was shocked, honestly, for a lot of different reasons. I thought that Boston could steal a game. I didn't think it was going to be game one. Especially the way that Steph came out shooting. He came out on fire. He had 21 points in the first quarter, 6 threes. He looked like, MVP Steph, and it looked like, he was taking personal that he hadn't won the finals MVP. It looked like he was trying to win the finals MVP in that first quarter. And then, Jason Tatum was struggling for Boston. He wasn't shooting the ball very well. They were, collapsing on him, making things difficult for him. So it looked like one of those typical Golden State games, especially going into the fourth quarter, being that they were up 12 and the Golden State teams of old, at least, when they were up 12, especially in the fourth at home, that's a done deal. It's what I'm saying? Like, teams aren't coming back from that normally. That's usually when they crack the game open and a 12-point lead goes into a 20 or 30-point lead. But to see Boston be so resilient and to hang in there and to just pretty much stay the course, and they didn't panic, they didn't waver. A lot of teams also too, like when they play against the Warriors, which I feel like a lot of teams get defeated against the Warriors before they even start playing, because they once Golden State goes on that epic third quarter run, or if Steph is firing the way that he's firing, then it's like they could, teams are usually defeated, but Boston wasn't. You never saw them panic. You never saw them do anything that was out of the norm. They stuck to their game plan. They, like I said, they stayed the course, and they just started knocking down shots. And I mean, that gonna bode well for Boston in this series, and that's gonna be scary for Golden State because if Jason Tatum can play that bad and Boston can still walk away with the win, especially in the Chase Center, that's scary. Because a lot of teams can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like they need everybody. You pretty much have to have a perfect game to beat the Golden State Warriors, especially at home. But like I said, Boston is a team full of dogs, and they got a good 7-8 players that can do a lot of things well, and that's what makes them such a good team. So I was shocked, but it was definitely exciting to see.
Yeah, Freddie, what about you? Because if you looked at it last night, the Warriors as a whole have 123 playoff games of experience versus the Boston Celtics 0. They didn't have any players with any playoff experience. So
yeah, right.
Hey, I told y'all, and I told Freddie, my goal is to have a better beard than LeBron James, and I'm gonna make it happen.
Hey, Tony, you almost there, my boy. You almost there.
This is almost 2 months, so I feel like I'm doing good. And this is from the 12-year-old face kid that couldn't grow facial hair to save my life before I joined the service. But Freddie, sir, what is your reaction from this? Because I'll be honest, when I first saw this series, I did not expect for Boston to take the win, especially because I watched the entirety of the third quarter and I watched Golden State go 38-24 over Boston, and I was like, okay, this is done. I can pretty much go to bed and shut this off. Like, this is a done deal. And then Boston comes back out of nowhere. So Freddie, what's your take on how this first game ended?
I just want everybody to pump the brakes just a touch. I mean, come on, you guys. It's game one. People are reacting like the Boston Celtics have already won the championship. But let's give credit where credit is due. This Boston Celtics team, they came out and they survived the storm because Steph Curry, the first quarter, came out blazing. I mean, he was shooting from all over the court. 6 threes in the first quarter, could not be stopped. But even going through that storm, they was only down by 4 points. That just shows you, fight, their relentlessness, and their defense that their coach has been preaching to them all season long. When you have Jason Tatum, when he have a bad game like he did, when he had 12 points, who did not shoot the ball as good, but he did get others involved. We always hear Shaq say it's about the others. It's not about not necessarily what Jaylen Brown, what Jason Tatum is going to do. It's about what is a Marcus Smart going to do? What is a White, who was big for them yesterday, going to do? What's an Al Horford going to do? A Williams going to do? And when those others step up and do their job, we expect a Jaylen Brown to go off. We expect a Jason Tatum to do their job. It just needs the others. But but let me say this: do not fast of yourself, Boston, because you are playing the experience of the experience, the monsters of the monsters in the NBA and the Golden State Warriors. We heard of Draymond Green in that post-game conference saying, hey, we okay. Don't worry about it. You know why? Because they know if they would have played 8 more minutes of solid basketball on yesterday, they would have won that game because they dominated that game. But 8 minutes of that game on yesterday. Other than that, hey, Jordan Poole, he has to step up. We said beforehand that the key player for that series is Andrew Wiggins to relieve pressure off Clay, to relieve pressure off Steph. But nobody expected Jordan Poole just to give you 9. He needs to give us 15, 16 a game with Steph doing Steph things, and hey, hopefully that opens it up for Klay Thompson, so Klay Thompson can get his as well. But I'm not worried about the Golden State Warriors because I believe they are experienced, they're more battle tested, and they will show the world why they won those championships even without Kevin Durant.
And Freddie, I'll pose this question to you first. Who do you think it's more important to win this series? Do you think it's Golden State? Because really, before they got hurt a couple years ago, Golden State was essentially the dynasty in the NBA. Like they were like you said, they were the monsters. They were the best of the best. They had some of the best experience. And there's only been a handful of dudes, LeBron James being one of them, to be able to stop them from winning multiple championships. Do you think it's more important for them, or do you think it's more important for Boston? Because really, if you look at it the last few years, Boston has kind of failed to meet expectations. We saw them get Jason Tatum. We've seen them put all of these pieces together, and then they fizzle out and it doesn't work or they come up short. So, Freddie, I'll ask you, who do you think it matters to more to win this series?
I have to go with the Boston Celtics. Yet again, they're going against the guys that's battle test. They're going against guys that's been in this situation before. But we've always seen this Boston Celtic team take step after step after step each year to go a little bit deeper, a little bit further. They always get knocked off. The East is not getting any easier, you guys. It's not the East of old where you might have one team to get away with. Other than that, you still have the Miami Heat. I expect them to get better this summer. You have the Brooklyn Nets. I expect them to get better. The Philadelphia 76ers with James Harden and Joel Embiid. I expect them to get better. Healthy James Harden can change a lot of things in that situation. The Milwaukee Bucks. Hey, let's quiet as a kept. If Chris Middleton was healthy this year, there's a chance that the Milwaukee Bucks will be in the finals. So let's not him as well. So this is the chance for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, more importantly, Jason Tatum, to show the world that he is a superstar. Because Craig Victor, he always say, we're too fast to give everybody this Super Bowl, the superstar title to players. And he spoke about Jason Tatum because he's consistent. He's inconsistent. One night that he can give you almost 40 points, and then we seen last night he gave you 12. We need to see Jason Tatum be consistent, and he needs to show the world he's a superstar.
Okay. What about you, sis? Do you feel that it's Boston? Boston is kind of really they are the underdogs kind of coming into this whole series because of their experience, and like Freddie said, all of us want to put that superstar title on Jason Tatum just right off the bat. I'm not saying he's not playing great. He played very well last night for what he needed to do. Do you think this matters more for Boston, or do you think Golden State says, okay, we'll let you have one to kind of get our feel for you, and then we're coming back with a vengeance?
I think I agree with Freddie's take, but I disagree at the same time. And I don't disagree because I think he's wrong. I disagree because I think it's the level of importance is for Golden State, and it's because of Stephen Curry. Like the big story coming into this series was Steph not having a Finals MVP, and the conversation has been, well, Steph hasn't really played well through he hasn't put together a complete final series where he was undoubtedly the best player. So I think the level of importance is more so on Golden State. Now, as far as going into the future games of the series, Golden State is going to have to assert themselves. Like they can't do the let's just fill you out and see what you got for us, and then we'll go from there. Because we've seen this movie before. All it takes for a team to get some confidence and feel like, or to know that they can beat you by beating you, and you could blow the series. Like these Boston Celtics, granted they can't fight fire with fire as far as the experience wise, but they're just as big, they're just as strong, they're just as athletic. They have everybody on their team plays defense, and they're not afraid of Golden State. And that's the biggest thing is the confidence factor. And as long as they have confidence and they have a coach who can actually coach, because if it comes down to where the game gets close and it's X's and O's, I like Boston's chances for the simple fact that their coach is a coach's coach. Like he's not a Steve Kerr who's like, let's just run a bunch of rotations and see what happens. Ime is we gonna run these plays. We gonna set up this defense. We gonna do have X's and O's here and there, and this is how I'm gonna run my team. So, as far as level of importance, it has to be Golden State, because even with the experience, like you're not playing but you know what I'm saying? Like this ain't a bunch of scrubs. You're not playing some guys that are just happy to be there. They want to win. They're on a mission in the same way that you guys are on a mission. So that
So even with you saying that, I love Boston. I really do. I like that adjustment they made the second half of the season. I honestly finish out being one of the best teams in the NBA. But at the end of the day, I will take experience over non-experience any day out the week. We've seen Steve Kerr. He's been there. He's made adjustments. One thing I know about Golden State, once they start setting up screens, they start running, they're going to make Boston start running, tire them out on defense. Hey, like I said, they only played bad 8 minutes out of that game, in game one. And like I said, when Draymond Green said, we're not worried, He knows that. He knows that they had to play better, but they had to play good from the beginning to the end, and they'll adjust. I mean, they're going to get
Oh, yeah,
Steph
of course.
Curry. To me, Steph Curry has to be more aggressive. I would like to see him come back, blazing like he did the first quarter. To me, when you only finish out with 13, I think he finished the game with 13 points after that first quarter. That just shows me that he was not aggressive because he is the key to that engine. Draymond Green, we need to see more out of him. But if those two elevate their game, go to but the Boston team has no chance.
But it can't just be those two. It has to be Klay Thompson has to play better. Jordan Poole has to play better because Steph and Dre can do what they do, but Boston has 7 or 8 guys who can do what they do. So it's gonna have to be a complete team effort. It can't just be Steph and Draymond. Like this is like I said, this is not the Warriors teams of old where they've got enough to squeak by. No, this is a team that is on the other side that is stacked. They can not only can they play defense, but they can shoot the ball extremely. Just they can shoot the not. I won't say as well. I won't go. I'm not gonna go crazy and say they can shoot as well as Golden State, but they can keep up. Is pretty much is what I'm trying to say. So what's gonna be key for the Golden State Warriors going forward is the Klay Thompsons, is the Jordan Pooles, because yes, Steph is the engine, but they are the key components to the car as well. Like if Steph is the engine, then Klay's the transmission. Like you know what I'm saying? So it's like he's gonna need somebody to come along with him. It can't just be him and Draymond. That's not gonna beat the Boston Celtics, even with the experience.
Yeah, and Freddie, I'll start with you. Do you think this is Boston's last chance to prove now that if they win, they're the team to beat the East, or do you think if this doesn't work, they try something different, or do they do the insanity thing, keep trying the same thing over and over again until it sticks?
Man, that's really a tough question because my answer would have been yes if they would have lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. I was actually ready to go on the show and say, "Hey, it's time to break up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown." It doesn't work. I was ready to say that, but it's kind of hard when they elevated to the finals, but made it to the next round. Because we all know it's not easy to win championships. It's not easy to get to the championship. And honestly, this is the best roster that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have had while them two have been together. And we all thought it's crazy last year when Danny Ainge and them promoted Brad Stevens in the front office. It worked. We have to admit that it worked. He fits in that position because it seems like whatever he does, he put a great roster around him. When they hired the coach, we all thought it was crazy because they bringing in a no-name guy. Nobody ever heard of him. Nobody really knows about him. He's another inexperienced guy. But look, hey, you guys, it worked. So, with that being said, ooh, that's a tough one, man. It really is. I say you want to break it up the first year, this year. You give it at least one more chance, then determine on what happens next year. Then you decide if you want to make it. Because, like I said, it's hard to make it to the finals. They did make it to the finals. They did win a game, and depending on how many games. Now, if they just did they just lose the next 4 games? Then I'm gonna say, yeah, it's time to break it up. It's time to make a move. But if Boston can make this a competitive series, I say you keep them one more year, see if you can make another run.
Okay, Sensei, what about you, ma'am? Do you think the same thing? Do you think it's championship or bust for the Celtics this year?
I don't think so. I don't think it's championship or bust because I don't think a lot of people had them in the championship in the first place. I think we all thought that they were going to be a playoff team and they could, definitely destroy some or disrupt some things and make, make it competitive. But I don't think we saw them coming to play into the championship level and get into the finals. And the fact that they have, and they're playing so well and they seem to be gelling so well. And I feel like they finally figured out what works for them as a team. It took some time. Definitely, it took some development. I think people had to figure out their roles. I think JT had to mature a little bit. Jaylen Brown had to kind of understand where he fits in. Marcus Smart had to again understand where he fits in, what he needs to be as a point guard and as a leader for that team. And it's finally starting to make sense. So I don't think you break it up. And plus, these are young guys that we're talking about here. These aren't, it's not like they're 27, 28. you know what I'm saying, nearing 30, you know what I'm saying, and we're looking at it like, okay, you guys have been together for X amount of years and it's not working. Like, these are really young guys and it's just now starting to click. So I think they would be foolish to break it up, even if they do. Let's just say for, perhaps they do end up losing the finals. I still don't think that that's a reason to break them up. I say give them another at least 2 years, maybe get, saying whatever, try to fix the kinks or whatever weaknesses that that you feel like as a reason to why they lose the finals, if that does happen. But I'd say give it another at least 2 years, because like I said, it's finally starting to make sense, and you have the coach that can coach this kind of cohesive talent. So I mean, you got to give him at least 2 years.
Okay. All right. So
I want to
last.
respond to that, Mr. John. I understand that we all knew he was an assistant coach in San Antonio, but what I'm saying is that we thought that Boston was going after a coach that has been a head coach before, has
Yeah,
experience,
right.
who's been in that position before. That's what I'm talking about. We knew who he was behind, as an assistant coach. I'm just wanting to clarify.
Yeah.
So last question that I'll ask you too, Sis. I'll start with you. Who do you have at least winning the next game? If you want to say the next game and the series on who you have winning, you can. But who do you have winning the next game?
I'm gonna say Golden State responds. In the next game, I think they'll have one of those games. Where they probably. I won't say it. I mean, it might be close, but I still think they just have one of those typical Golden State games. I think this losing the first game in the finals at home and kind of how everybody's talking has probably woke them up a little bit. So they'll probably, be extra on fire and extra motivated. So I got Golden State winning game 2. But I got Boston in 7.
Okay. Freddie, what about you, sir? Who do you have winning game 2?
There's gonna be a throwback Sunday. This remind us of the Oracle Arena. It's gonna be an avalanche. And I'm talking about we gonna see Steph, we gonna see Clay. Hell, we gonna even see Poole step in. We gonna see the Splash triplets, not the Splash brothers, the Splash triplets. They gonna be going off. They're extra motivated. Draymond don't look like prime Draymond. Andrew Wiggins, hell, he's gonna even pitch in about 15, 16 points. It's gonna be and I have Golden State in 6.
Okay. All right. So
I would never go for Boston, by the way. Just let y'all know.
I was getting confused because you said that you like Boston. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that like it's like Steelers fans being like, yeah, we really want the Browns to do good this year. Nobody says that. Nobody wants that. Like, come on,
right?
I'll never go.
All
it's
right.
really hard because I really don't go to State, because Golden State fans, they're just as cocky. They think they've actually done something in the NBA. And I'm like, bro, child, sit down somewhere. But other than that,
all right, so we'll keep it in the NBA because, and for those of y'all that don't know, I have been trying to ask Freddie a question for the last few weeks, and Freddie's been dodging this question. But to give y'all a recap, so the Lakers have hired a new head coach. Now, there's a lot of rumors that the Lakers were pretty adamant in some of their interview questions of asking these new coaches, how are you going to make Russell Westbrook work? Obviously, they're not finding many trade suitors for Russ. It's one of those that kind of reminds me of the Cleveland situation. Like, if the Lakers want to get rid of Russ, they might have to, trade him, and they're probably going to have to eat at least 60 to 70% of that cap hit to, get rid of him, because no team is going to give up all that for him and have to take up the cap hit. So, Freddie, I'll start with you because you are our residential Lakers fan. How do you feel about this head coach hiring, and do you think he can make Russell Westbrook work? Because I know you were adamant all season, get rid of Russ. This is the worst deal in Laker and get rid of Russ. How do you as a Lakers fan feel the fact that now the front office is kind of shifting from, all right, we're stuck with this, we got to make it work. Whoever we get as a head coach has to make this work too. And do you feel that head coach is being set up for failure as a result?
first of all, I'm gonna answer the Russell Westbrook part of the question first. Then I get into Tony. I've been sitting back and thinking about this whole situation. Not everybody know I've been wanting him off the Lakers, still want him off the Lakers, but we had to come to realization that it's not a smart idea to trade him. And the reason why I say this is because you don't do the same thing that burns you. Do not get rid of future assets and to put you deeper in the hole. Honestly, it's the best situation to wait on. Because if you can play out at least one more year, then guess what? He's a free agent. Guess what that do? That frees up $47 million of cap. So guess what we can do then? Okay, LeBron, AD. Now let's go out. Let's get you a third star. Or better yet, let's go give you some great quality role players that knows how to do their role. That's instead of getting these old guys off the street. Um, so so Laker fans don't want to hear that, but the truth is, hold on, sir, Mr. Douglas. Now, if you want to come on the show, you can, but hey, don't try to claim that I'm not a real Laker fan, sir. I'm a purple and gold till I die, my brother. So I just want to get that clarified. But Laker fans don't want to hear that we're stuck with Russell Westbrook, but it is the best thing to be stuck with just because of the cap space that it'll free next year. That's with that being said, that answer your question, Tony. Now, we just hired our coach, Mr. Ham. I love the hire. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was afraid that we was gonna get a retread coach. That was Terry Stotts. I thought it was Stotts. I'm not gonna lie. I was disappointed about it. I was like, okay, here we go doing the same old thing yet again, like we always do. Go get this yes man coach that ain't about nothing. Then, then I thought it's going to be him or Kenny Atkinson. I didn't think they was gonna get a new Dave Darvin Hams and a new coach. Has never been a head coach before. I didn't think they was gonna hire. So, so with that being said, I love the hire because he's not a yes man. He's not a
Jay,
yes man.
Jay in the house.
What's going on? What's going on?
Big boss Jay in the house.
I heard the Laker question pop up, so I wanted to jump on and ask Freddie personally.
Hey, you go,
Um,
hold on, sir. Hold the hell on. I'm in
Oh,
the middle of my.
it's no bad thing. It's no bad thing. Uh, Now, but moving with this because it's coming. I, I think my question is like this: we've seen like Ham, we've seen in Boston, we've seen Golden State. That's another one. These are like pop coach tree. You got Miami with Spoelstra, Pat Riley. They made it pretty far. I think Monty, kind of the one off in the crew that made it decently far this postseason. But looking at the success of the other teams, Freddie, do you think this was the proper direction for the coaching style that you guys needed coming off of a season like this in LA?
Oh, for sure. And that's why I love the hire because Ham, is the no BS coach. He's firm. But he's young, but he's a player's coach because and LeBron and them guys are going to relate to him because more than they would a Frank Vogel is because they're going to say, hey, you've been down in the trenches before. Hey, you're battle tested. Hey, you won as a player, you won as an assistant coach as well. But I think who's going to be impacted the most by Ham, honestly, is Anthony Davis because I believe Ham's going to be say go to AD, say, hey man. I've been in this position before. Hey, if you do this, you do that. It's going to impact him more, especially being around a guy like Giannis. I'm not comparing the two, but they are similar players,
mhm.
big forwards, power forward position. I believe he's going to be able to get a little bit more out of AD at times because at times AD can be a little bit of passive aggressive instead of attacking like he should be. But I believe Ham, and then another thing I like is that, hey, he went to Genie and them and said, hey, I'm picking my own coaching staff. You want me to be your head coach? Hey, Kirk Rambis, he can't be in my coaches' meetings down here. You know, and I love that about it because hey, you don't need that type of distraction down here. So I love the.
Now, I mean, coming off of the Frank Vogel thing, I don't think Frank Vogel is as vocal of a coach that they would have needed on a squad like that. So, you know, keeping everything with what they are dealing with right now. So we're just going to look at the Lakers with what they have. You still have Russ. You still have AD. You still have LeBron. The star power there, I think, is where, you know, with the next coaching of this hire, that's the connection. If he can connect with the star power, I think that you guys would still be able to, finagle a successful season out of it. And John, big ups. You know, they did the Mexico game out here yesterday. So, but you know, I was honestly, and I don't think this is a bad hire by any means, but I was honestly looking for someone more vocal, more match the star power, more Mark Jackson-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, say, sis, I'll turn it to you. How do you, since you're a LeBron fan, you're
Indeed.
non-biased. You don't have a
Indeed.
You don't really have a
Correct.
have a dog in this fight per se.
Absolutely.
You know, how do you feel about this 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 Lakers coaching hire, and how do you feel about now the Lakers have pretty much decided they are going to keep Westbrook? Do you feel that it can still be some type of success? And to me now, do you think that LeBron is going to be able, because now he's had a full year with him, do you think LeBron can be like, look, man, last year was rough. You know, we didn't have the pieces. Everything was kind of already falling apart to start with anyway. What do we need to do to make this work? This is what I want you to do. This is what I need you to do. And do you think Ham can basically tie that all together?
I think so. For a lot of the points that Freddie said, Ham he's no nonsense, and that's what
Sister, time out. Ladies and gentlemen, remember the beginning of the show? I'm coming here to educate you. Just for that one reason. Carry on.
Man, shut up. All I said was I agree with you. You know what? You about to make me say a bad word on here.
She about to do a complete 180. Be like, actually, no, everything pretty said.
Actually, F that. F with everything. No, I'm just kidding. But no, honestly, I agree with him because he is no nonsense, and that's what I like about him, and that's what I feel like the Lakers need, especially somebody like Bron. I've been a Bron fan for a very long time, so I know pushover coaches or coaches that are passive or coaches that are just going to allow him to do whatever he wants, they don't typically bode well as far as like success of, winning or getting a chance to fight. Like they don't bode well. So I'm glad that they got a coach that's going to stand up to him and say, no, this is my team. This is how we're going to run it. This is what we're going to do. I understand that you are who you are, but I am also the head coach. And that's what I like. And I like the fact that he was able to pick his own coaching staff, because I feel like that's something that's very important as a head coach, because that to me means that you have some sense of control. Now, we all know that, this is a players league, and at the end of the day, it's players over nothing, but still, as a head coach, I feel like you have to have some kind of semblance of control, and picking your own coaching staff is a start of that, and it's a part of it. So I like that. I like that as well. I do think, unfortunately, we are stuck with Russ, but like Freddie said, this is probably the best thing going forward for us, just because we don't want to further, put ourselves further in the hole to pretty much to echo what he said. So, the thing of it is Russ is not a bad player. It's just that he has bad ways. And if we could somehow put a muzzle on some of those ways, I think we can be successful. If Ham is able to, again, like Freddie said, get to AD and say, hey, this is what I need you to do. This is what I expect out of you. This is what's going to keep you at that elite level. Because let's be honest, AD kind of took a knock last year, for the simple fact that he was not the player that everybody expected him to be getting to LA. Like, he had the, got the championship, obviously, in the bubble, and all that's great. But we expected when he came back the next following 2 seasons that he was going to elevate himself to that elite big man Giannis kind of level. And he hasn't really done that. We haven't really seen that. So if he's able to bring that out of him and, like I said, just convince Russ to put a muzzle on some of the ways, because listen, like I said, Russ he's not a bad player. He just had like his IQ sometimes it doesn't always match the athleticism or what he does well, quote unquote. So if he's able to correct some of those things and just keep him in pocket, you're not going to be able to fully control Russ, because Russ is one of those guys. He's very headstrong. So he's not going to, he's not going to go for the full 360. But if we can at least get a 180, I think we'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? I definitely think that they still can have some success. But, and this is the big but, they're going to have to get rid of some of the role players that were brought in. They're going to have to go. We need some younger legs. We need some fresh legs. We need some younger legs. I know Melo is LeBron's boy, but he's a liability. I'm sorry. So he's got to go. We can keep Monk. I'm trying to think of who else. Dwight Howard, again, liability. And I like Dwight, but we got to get some younger, fresher legs in there.
We got to keep Melo. Melo was the only consistent player we had off that bench tonight, that three ball. Man.
No.
But listen here. Did y'all see the picture? AD looking small. AD done lost some weight. This is a very big summer for Anthony Davis.
And I think he knows that. I think he knows that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows that. I think he's feeling that pressure. I think he doesn't like the conversation that's being had around him. So he knows he's got to come in with an elite level of focus and a sharpened level of focus, because Bron has probably maybe 2 more elite years in him. So if they're gonna do something, it's gonna have to happen within the next 2 years, or else it's gonna be.
I got something to say about your boy LeBron too. By the way, congratulations to him becoming a billionaire.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As an active player, the first one to do it, absolutely.
But I need to
don't ruin it. Okay, I agree with that.
And when I say that, is because when you have a teammate like Russell Westbrook that keep messing up, I need him not to be afraid to go to that man's face and tell him.
Get on him. Yeah, I listen. 100%. I'm behind you. 100%. 100%.
But I want to touch on 2 things. One, so we saw AD openly on camera.
I saw AD in Vegas real quick. Just to throw that out there.
Hey, you saw the unibrow?
I saw him and Miles Bridges was out there. I saw him as well. And De'Erica Hamby from the Las Vegas Aces, I actually got to have a picture with her. I saw her as well. So
that was awesome.
Yeah.
What's up, Jonathan?
What's up, John? What's up, bro?
But we definitely saw AD voice his frustrations, because he said, people get mad because I'm hurt and I try to play hurt, but then they get mad because I'm playing hurt.
Yeah.
So there was really no win. So I get why AD's frustrated now. Sure. I get why he lost the weight. I don't ever think the actual weight is the issue. Is he kind of did what James Harden did. He's one of those players, he tries to play his way into shape when the season hurts. You can't do that. That hurt people. Like
you're right. So, no, go ahead.
I don't understand it, you guys, because you're playing next to a guy that has been pretty much healthy his whole career
and tip-top shape, like to the point where he's spending millions of dollars on his body every single year.
But look at it too, the different types of players that do this. Russell Wilson puts a ton of money into his body. Tom Brady puts a ton of money into his body. LeBron James puts a ton of money into his body. And it's like, AD, you have the money. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's genetics, because AD had injury history while he was at Kentucky. He had it while he was in New Orleans. He's had it since he's been in LA. So don't get me wrong. To some point, it's not AD's fault. But still, even if it's not your fault, even if it's just bad genetics, you still got to do everything you can on your part. Like, don't be coming in here, looking like you just had 8 po' boys since you was down in
the seriously. Seriously, yeah, you can't, like you said, you can't play your way into shape, and that's just one of those things. And I feel like for whatever reason, like a lot of these players do that, like that. Except for the top elite guys, like you said, the LeBrons, the KDs, like Steph, There's another one, Clay, Draymond. The Draymond even, he's very active and takes care of his body as well. So, and that's the separate. But again, that's just one of those things. That's the separation. You know what I'm saying, from good and great, because you have to have that dedication to say, I'm willing to not only spend the money, but I'm willing to also do the work. You know what I'm saying? Because Bron spends all this money, but Bron does the work too.
So I got a question, you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
So I got a question. Would you guys do this trade?
Oh,
I got two trade proposals, by the way. One, Russ sending you to Brooklyn for Kyrie Irving.
Oh, I've seen that.
I have too.
He tossed around because of just how things are going in Brooklyn, and it looks like they're ready to move on from Kyrie. I don't know. A part of me, because of his skill set, is like, hell yes. Because the skill set he's able, we know he can hit the big shot. We know he can score. We know he can get to the basket. He's one of everybody has alluded to it. He's one of the most skilled players ever. But is he going to play? Like, the thing with with Kyrie is that you just never know what kind of time he's on. And that's the problem. Like, and if you think it's bad, and if the criticism is bad in Brooklyn, wait till you come to the Lakers, where you are expected to win. You are expected, if there's nothing wrong with you that is extremely detrimental, where you cannot move an entire ligament, you are expected to be on the basketball floor playing the basketball game to win. I just don't know if Kyrie is built for that. Like I said, skill-wise, if I knew that he was committed and he was motivated, I would pull the trigger. I would pull the trigger so fast for that trade. But it's just the what if. I know no matter, we can say whatever we want to say about Russ, but I know if Russ is available, Russ is playing. He's gonna be there. Like that I know I can take to the bank. I can cash that check 99.9% of the time. Kyrie is like a 33.3%. And that's the issue. You know what I'm saying?
And I ain't gonna lie, I immediately is a no. Like, in the great words of Randy Jackson, that's a nah for me, dog. Like, no. And the reason why I say that is like Sensei alluded to. You don't know what you're going to get out of Kyrie, and he's still not vaccinated. And California is a little bit more strict as far as a lot of their vaccination requirements than in New York both. So if this potentially kicks back up again, like Sensei said, even if Russ is like killing the team, he's still a body. He's still there. If COVID and whatnot picks back up, Kyrie ain't even there in the building. He can't be. So it's like, okay, well, now we got rid of Russ. We're paying Russ to be on another team, and we've got this guy who can't even be on the team. And I'll be honest with you too, as much as it looks like Kyrie has done some self-development and some self-growth, and I don't know if that's because this whole Brooklyn Nets thing has imploded on him, when is he going to do this 180 flip again and just immediately say, oh, I'm unhappy, I don't want to be here, it's LeBron, it's LA, I don't like how this works, I don't want to do it this way, LeBron's going to get all the credit, I want to be the guy, like I would, if I'm the Lakers, I wouldn't want to deal with that. Like, you got to keep that in check.
Let's face it, Tony. Kyrie have been the same since Kobe Bean Bryant died. They was close. Kyrie's been a kind of a loose nut ever since then.
I agree with you, Freddie. I'm gonna say, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I agree with you to an extent, but he still was rearing his head this way before then. Like, because even how he left Cleveland and then how he got to Boston and when he was in Boston and how he left Boston. This is all before Kobe Bean, God rest his soul, passed away. So I think this was always in his DNA, in his makeup. This is just who Kyrie is. Like, Kyrie is just a very complex dude. Always has been. And I think that now, whatever journey that he went on, whatever caused his unhappiness, I'm not sure if he ever recovered from it. And that, again, like I said, this is something that happened way before Kobe passed away. This is going back to when he was in Cleveland. Because I don't know if you guys saw the the podcast that he was on with I think it's called like The Pivot or something like that. And it was like him and I forget they're like football players. I forget who all it was. But he was just talking about how, how his situation in Cleveland ended. And he was like, I should have handled it a lot better because there was things that I was going through that I didn't know how to express. I didn't know how to voice. I didn't know what to say. So instead of trying to seek help, I just shut everybody out. Yeah. And so that's kind of how Kyrie handles things. Like that doesn't have anything to, so I don't want to put that on Kobe because that's not fair. That's just that's the kind of dude that I definitely think that's had an effect. I'm not totally disagreeing with you, Freddie, but I'm just saying that that's not the sole reason as to why Kyrie is the way.
No. I
Kyrie's
definitely
he's always been just on a different path. He's just always been on a different path, and we're just now starting to see it more because he's being more vocal and is acting out with it more.
So my trade proposal too, my last one, and I think this will help both teams. We see Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker needs another guy to help him. And I do not believe Chris Paul is that guy. That team needs Russ. They need another guy that can go out there and give him 15, 20 on a given night. And I believe Russell Westbrook can do that. The Lakers need a point guard. Hold on. They don't need a point guard that's going to give them 25 a night. They need a point guard that can give them 12 to 15 a night, but give them 10, 11 assists. And I believe Chris Paul, you put Chris Paul on this team,
Tony,
they are much better team.
We are here. We are here.
Okay, Freddie, and sis, I hope you don't mind if I go first.
Please go ahead.
I gotta counter Freddie's question with another question. How you gonna almost like bad talk CP3 and say that you need a better guy? Like, I don't think CP3 is a guy, but I think Russ is. Russ didn't work in LA, but now you're going to bring Chris Paul in and be like, oh, Chris can't make it work here, but he can make it work here. But Russ didn't work, but he can make it work there. Like, what?
You know why?
What?
He got that man with that crown on his head, King James. He said, hey, Chris, first 3 quarters, you orchestrate, keep things rolling. 4th quarter, get a ball to me.
Absolutely not. Because no. Chris Paul is a defensive liability for one. For two,
he's a cone.
He is definitely a cone. I'm sorry, he is. Pat Bev didn't lie when he said that. He did not lie when he said that. But if he can't get it to his spot up mid range, he's a liability on offense too. Like, now, granted, he's an elite point guard. I would never take that away from Chris Paul. But no, like, and then you gonna send Russ to be with Devin Booker? Like, that's gonna be better. Like, at least Chris Paul can knock down the mid range. Russ gonna have the mid range in the 3rd row. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that makes no. I'm sorry. I was with you on the. I kind of saw the light on the first trade proposal, but on this one, absolutely not. That makes no.
So, Sensei, what do you think the Lakers need in the point guard? I'm curious. Do you think they need a guy that's going to give them 20, 25 points tonight? What do you think they need?
I think they need somebody who could give them 20 to 25 points a night, but doesn't necessarily have to, because we have scoring throughout, throughout our team. So they don't necessarily need to do it. But if it comes down to it, where maybe the other two guys maybe don't have it going, or they have opportunities, then go for it. But we don't necessarily need a point guard to quote unquote be a scorer. We definitely need a facilitator. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to be able to still put up 20-25, because they're gonna collapse Bron a lot because it's Bron. They're gonna collapse AD a lot because it's AD. So you're gonna have a lot of opportunities to score the basketball, and the more the freaking merrier.
Why can't the Lakers find them another Derek Fisher? That's the type of point guard we need, another Derek Fisher.
We definitely need another Derek Fisher, but speaking of which, fire Derek Fisher from the Los Angeles Sparks being head coach. Just saying.
Why? Let those be him.
Listen, no, because I'm still mad at him how he did Candace Parker a couple years before she left the LA Sparks. I haven't been a fan of him since. Fire Derek Fisher.
Gotta give that man forgiveness. He's still learning.
There's no reason on God's green earth that a healthy Candace Parker should sit an entire second half. There's no reason for it.
Do you know who he came up under? Sensei, do you know who he came up under?
Who he come up under?
Phil Jackson. So
yes, Phil Jackson wouldn't have been that petty. Now he made a statue for a couple minutes, but for an entire second half, I didn't care how much. Listen, he coached Kobe Bean Bryant. You know how hard that had to been for him.
They always did not see eye to eye, by the way.
Always, but Kobe was in the game though.
Yep. All right, so we'll move on to the last topic of the night, and we've talked about this on a couple other shows, but this guy is the latest one in this whole debauchery. So obviously, we saw a couple weeks ago, Nick Saban came out, and Nick Saban just woke up and chose violence. Nick Saban said, "Jimbo Fisher, I'm taking you down. Deion Sanders, you ain't even do nothing. I'm taking you down. Taking Jackson State down. Taking all this down." And the SEC ended up actually punishing both him and Jimbo Fisher for basically bringing discredit to the SEC. Now we see Ryan Day out of Ohio State come out and say Ohio State needs at least $13 million to keep the Ohio State roster together. Sensei, I'm going to start with you. Does this make sense? Is this just another one of these? Because again, we've noticed it's Power 5 coaches that have an issue with this. Do you think this is going to continue to be a thing? Because we've heard Dabo Swinney is just absolutely against it. Now he hasn't gone out and said anything other than I don't agree with this. I think this is going to ruin college football. I'm not a fan, and then he leaves it at that. Nick is coming in here acting like he's got like the 32nd best recruiting class when in reality he's got the second best. He's just behind Texas A&M. So, and then Ryan Day, you have the Ohio State, always ranked like top 5 in the college football rankings. So, do you think that this is just something that again they're complaining about for no reason, or do you think that this is a legitimate concern that these coaches should have?
Listen, they are complaining because there's a shift within the power of college football, and that's the issue. It's not the money is just a cover up for an underlying issue. The underlying issue is the shift of power. That's why Nick Saban called names. That's why he said Texas A&M and Deion Sanders specifically, because now it's not Nick Saban and everybody else. Now everybody's on an even playing field, and he doesn't like that because he wants to be the god. He wants to be the top guy. He wants to be, the direct pipeline to the NFL. And now that's not the case anymore because now these kids can get money anywhere. And because let's keep it all the way honest. Do you think that Nick Saban was getting all those top picks because they wanted to come to Alabama, just because they just felt like, oh, I would love to leave California and live in Alabama? No, he was paying them players under the table. We all know this, but it just wasn't exposed. He never got caught, quote unquote. But now, since everybody else can legally do it, now it's wait a minute. Well, they're doing this and they're doing. It's a shift of power. And like Jimbo Fisher said, you want to call me out, fine. Look, dig into his past a little bit. Look and see some of the stuff that he's done because I worked there, so I know. So let's if we want to talk and we don't point fingers, let's all get in the room and we can point fingers together. Because like I said, Nick Saban ain't squeaky clean. He didn't live by the book. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, and like you said, Tony, like he's acting like he has the number 30 or number 40 recruit. Bro, you're number 2. You're number 2. Like you could still end up in the championship game and end up winning it still. Like number 2 ain't number 1, but it ain't number 39. So it's like, but again, it's just the matter that there's balance in college football, because now kids are not looking at it per se like I just want to go to a top 5 school. Now it's like I just want to go. You know what I'm saying? And they may still, but now it's more so, okay, well, what school is going to give me the best opportunity? What's going to give me the best advantage? Not only money-wise, but just, you know what I'm saying, my future-wise. And these Power 5 coaches don't like that because now they don't yield the power anymore. It's not my school or bust. It's whatever they want. It's in the kids' hand. They have the control. So whatever they want to do. And they don't like that. Yeah. So it's I feel like, you know what I'm saying, that's cap. Like saying you need 13, that's cap. No, you don't. No, you don't. Hey, what is the 13 million gonna do? Like who is that going? How are you gonna disperse that? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, bro. It's just cat. Like it's just these. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Tony. This isn't directed to you, but it's just these old white men who want to keep the structure the way it was before the NIL, of how they were up here and the players were down here, and there was no in between. There was no level playing. There was no seeing eye to eye. There were the Power Fives with the Power Fives, and that's it. They don't like now that everybody else can come to the party.
Yeah,
and that's just what it boils
Saban,
down.
Man.
Oh yeah, I forgot Freddie, Alabama fan. Well, before I let you go, Freddie, because I know you already got a whole lot of stuff.
Listen, I respect Nick Saban, but that was some cap. What he said was some cap.
Oh yeah, because you got to think about it, like you said, Sensei, and I bring that comparison up all the time. You can't tell me that these LA city kids that have been raised in beautiful, sunny, great weather California in the city go to Tuscaloosa in the middle of a cornfield and soybean, Alabama, and say, man, shoo-wee, this is a great place I want to be. Yay! Like, hey, you ain't telling me that's where they want to go. Like, to me, I like the NIL deals because it does a couple things. A, these kids can finally get a paycheck for something that is it's a head-on collision sport that we've seen has lifelong lasting injuries on some of these kids and players. Some of these kids, this is their livelihood. This is their chance to get out of being in lower income families, being in poverty. They can pay for their families, they can pay for themselves, they can do all of that. And now they don't have to go to Alabama to be nationally recognized. They can go ball out at a local school, and they can get paid for doing it. Like, oh, hey, I don't need to go to Alabama to get on a national TV so that Nike can sponsor me, or so that this company can sponsor me. They can go do whatever they want to do now. And
or it's with HBCU with Deion.
Well, it's funny. I love Deion's response. I ain't even making $1 million from
right.
Right. He's like, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, even the top recruit came out and said something too. He was like, I got $1 million. Like, where?
My mom still live in a 3-bedroom house. What you talking about?
Yeah, what you mean?
But I will say too, though, Colin Cowherd kind of brought this up. It's you're now out of this whole idea of, oh, well, now I got to have super nice restaurants on campus. I got to have smoothie bars. I got to have all this stuff that attracts the kids to stay on campus, to have a super nice campus. Everywhere has a super nice campus. Like you're super close to everything. You have DoorDash, you have Uber Eats, you have all this different stuff at your fingertips to be able to grab. You don't need that. Put the money that you were putting into, rebuilding some of these buildings, putting in some of these new facilities. Pay your players, pay your kids. Like, you want to continue to be the best, you have to do the best things. You have to top dollar pay your players. So that's just me. Freddie, Mr. Roll Tide, how do you feel about your head coach? Who, again, we've seen Nick be like, no, I'm not going to do this. Like, he hated the hurry up offense. And what's Nick Saban do? He wins 3 national championships with a hurry up freaking offense. So Freddie, how do you feel about your coach? Saying this about the NIL, because obviously he's not a fan. He is not.
First of all, Alex, what's up, my brother? Yes, we need some hot sauce on the network. Hit me up. 2, Nick Saban, brother. Remember who you are. Don't let these people drag you into the level that you not. Like, this is not going to affect you none. I hear Sensei talking about, California, they don't want to come to Alabama. Why the hell would they not want to come play for one of the greatest franchises, one of the greatest coaches of all time? Let's get that out the way. And number 2, I love the NIL deal because, hey, it's tough for kids to go out there and play football, go to school. There's not a lot of time where they can go to work to make money, where they can, at least, I'm not saying they need to get paid thousands and thousands of dollars. Hell, they just need to get paid where they can survive. If they want to go buy some books, they want to go out, have a little fun. They want food, whatever they need, they need to be able to make it. And then also, when these guys are out there on the football field, guess what? These schools are marketing them, making money off them, selling their merchandise, selling those things with their name, but the player cannot profit off of that at all. And so I like the deal, but to me, Nick Saban needs to realize, even though these rules have changed, he needs to realize who the hell he is, and let the folks know in the world, say, hey, even though it's an even playing ground now, that I can still be the best in this game and still recruiting top players. And like Sensei said, you're number 2. You're not 39. Pump the brakes just a touch. But we good. Roll. We good.
Like Sis said, I've never understood it because like she said, Nick Saban was doing this. Nick Saban is going to some of these kids' house or on the phone with them like, hey, you know who I got at quarterback right now? I got Bryce Young. I got Mac Jones. I got Tua Tagovailoa. I have Amari Cooper at wide receiver. I got Jerry Jeudy. I got, Jameson Williams. I have, Derrick Henry in my backfield. I have Alvin Kamara in my backfield. You are almost guaranteed for sure. Chris, shout out to you, sir. Appreciate you watching the show. Can't wait to have you back. Nick was like, look at all these names. Look at all these rings. I got one for each finger on one hand, and I'm working on the other two like Tommy. So, yeah, the fact that Nick is doing that, it's like, Nick, do what you do best. Do stuff from the shadows. Continue to build what you have built. Continue to be dominant like you have been for the last 10-plus years, even though I can't stand it, but I can't deny it. Do what you got to do. Stop worrying about what other people doing. If it don't affect you, don't worry about it. Stop worrying about it, Nick. But that's just me.
Agreed.
All right, all. Well, it looks like we are coming to the end of the show. Been on for about an hour now, and it has been an absolute blast with y'all. Sensei, I'll toss it over to you. Any last words, any last thoughts that you want to share with the people?
Make sure. Are we doing? No, I just want to ask real quick. Are we doing this show every day?
Monday through Friday. That's the plan.
Monday through Friday. Cool. So make sure you guys check out the show Monday through Friday. Also, make sure y'all check out the Sports Senseis on Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. West Coast time, and then 6 East Coast time. And also make sure you check out Beyond the Rim with me, Megan Price, and Mike Hughes on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. 5 p.m. West Coast time. 7 p.m. Central, and then 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure y'all tune into those 3 shows and everything else we got on ASAP Network because we got shows for everything. So make sure y'all check us out.
What about you, Freddie? Any last words for the people?
I just wanted everybody to know it's funny how the beginning of this episode, the sensei, she's a school bus driver and all that.
Oh, here we go.
But she agreed with my point. So, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you the question.
This is why I don't agree with him. This is why I don't.
Who's the real bus driver?
No, Freddie.
It's still me.
She agreed with both of us, and both of us took you to school. So it's
exactly. Fine. So it's okay.
And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, since Tony have a beard now, he has the audacity to think he's teaching me something, educating me. Since when? Please.
It's the age, and the beard comes with the wisdom. So
okay.
But like Sensei said, though, thank y'all for watching. Please like, please share, please subscribe if you like what you saw. Like Sensei said, we have an all-female sports panel show. Sensei is great. Ruth is great. I can't remember her other name, and I feel so bad. Jay Nicole. Jay is great. And then, of course, she does Beyond the Rim. We're one of the few networks that exclusively covers the WNBA as well. We cover NFL. We cover NBA, WNBA. We cover college football. We're going to be bringing up a baseball show, if I remember right. Freddie, is that right?
Baseball coming next week.
We cover wrestling, so we cover it all. We greatly appreciate all the love and support as we continue to grow. And please just continue to tune into ASAP as we just get bigger and better, and we got some of the best analysts that you can find on the market.
For sure.
All right, y'all.
It's going down, man. It's going down.
But everybody, y'all have a good night. Please check out all of our other shows, and we will see y'all next week as we talk about Game 2 for the NBA Finals. Peace.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying peace.
Yes, sir.
Whole sports, all plays. Yeah. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the